Hello and happy Friday. And it's a happy bank holiday Friday for everybody who's lucky enough to be living in Ireland. So today we're going to be talking all about paneling. And I'm going to be talking about it on Instagram. And I'm going to be talking about it on YouTube. And as always, I'll be talking about it on Facebook. So now I think we are live in all three places. I think, not so sure that I'm live on Instagram. Okay. We shall see. We shall see. I believe I'm live in all three places. And if I'm not, there's going to be a replay afterwards. So, Nuala Milani, I hope you're tuning in because you were the lady who asked me to talk about paneling. And it's a big topic and it's an important topic. And I have to say, I love paneling. I absolutely love paneling. To be honest, after paint, paneling is one of the most transformative things that you can actually do in your own home. So, if you've been toying with the idea of dipping your toe in paneling, or maybe there's a room in your house that you think, gosh, that would look amazing if it was paneled. One regret I've had, and I don't have too many regrets, but in our old hall, we had a gorgeous black and white floor, and it was a huge big hall, and it was triple height. And I am so sorry that I didn't do a light coloured white paneling. I had the walls painted in a gorgeous grey. One of the little green grey colours was called fescue, and the paneling would have really set it off. But anyway, I didn't do it. So, but I've done loads and loads and loads of paneling, and I do love paneling. So if you have any questions at all, just put them into that comment box below. It is extremely sunny here. I am delighted because it's been a little bit cool all week, and now it is so gorgeous. And so just checking my phone to see if I can see myself live on Instagram. I can't see anything. That's okay. You'll let me know. So hit me with your questions, anything at all. Nothing is off limits. I should have the answer in my head. And I'm going to turn off that now because I can't see anything on it. So let me know where you are in the world too. Let me know if the sun is shining with you and if it's a nice day. And if you've got any nice plans for the bank holiday weekend, let me know as well. And you know what? Use this time maybe to have a critical look through your house and identify areas that you might be able to upgrade. And I would like you to start off simply, maybe using some of the tips that you have found here, or if anybody has already invested in my Sharing Secrets Masterclass, all the information that you need to turn you into your own interior designer is there. I'm getting gorgeous feedback. And remember, it's only €49 currently. It was €297, and it was great value at that. So I forgot to put the link here on Wednesday, but I will do it now. I'm going to get super organized, and over the weekend I'll tidy up this page and have everything where you can see it. So let's do a deep dive into paneling. There are different styles of paneling. So depending on what style your house is and depending what your own personal style is, and in fact, if anybody is thinking of paneling, seriously thinking of paneling any area of their home, please do that masterclass, because the very first module teaches you in depth how to find your own personal interior design style. Because let me tell you, I know that this is something that so many people struggle with, and there's no shame in it, but it's very easily sorted. So once you know, then you have the blueprint for the rest of the house, and that's something quite miraculous. So typical styles of paneling, the most common one is probably a shaker paneling. Just like the shaker kitchens, it's got a square paneling. It may be perfectly square, or it may have a little molded detail in it. It is usually fabricated, can be fabricated from timber, or it can be made from MDF and painted. And if you think about all paneling, a lot of DIY people have successfully attempted paneling, and obviously there are professional companies and joiners who will do it for you. So the shaker paneling is gorgeous. It's smart. It's classical. If you have a more modern house, or if you've got a more classically inspired traditional house, there's two different ways that you can do it. So I'll start with the modern house. Say you want your paneling, say you've got a hall, stairs and landing, and you want to panel it, and your house is quite contemporary, and you've got gorgeous big polished porcelain, semi-polished, semi-lepato porcelain tiles on your floor, and you've got underfloor heating, and you're just delighted with the way everything is looking, but you want to add a little bit of extra dimension to your walls. So the shaker paneling that you would use is a simple square, no molding, square edges. And if you think about it, with your shaker paneling, traditional paneling, you've got a skirting at the bottom, then you've got the timber panels, and then you've got a dado rail on top. And that is basically the construction of most types of paneling, regardless of the style. Now, if you've got a more traditional house, what you can do, and this is beautiful too, and I've often done it, instead of having just the square moldings, you can add a little beaded trim in so that the inner perimeter of the molding has got this little beveled edge, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And your skirting, your style of skirting will reflect that as well. Tongue and groove paneling has been around for yonks. It's where you've got boards tongue and grooved, you've got a skirting at the bottom, you've got a dado rail at the top. This can be timber and it can be painted. I particularly love painted paneling. I think it's a cost-effective way of getting a really, really smart, gorgeous finish look in your home, regardless of the style of your home. You can have your paneling to dado level, and I'm often asked this question, so before anybody asks me, it's 36 inches from the floor to the top of the dado, and that is the height. So that'll be your typical paneling that you'd have in your hall and going up your stairs, and you would have exactly the same height going up the stairs. Another question I'm often asked is, I want to put paneling in my hall and up the stairs. Do I need to continue to the landing? Well, I would say you do. It's going to seem very unfinished if you don't finish it off with your landing. You want that continuity going all the way through. So please, questions, there's no questions foolish, there's no questions too simple, there's no question too difficult. Just ask anything you want to ask about paneling today. And Nuala, if you're there, please let me know that you're there. And if you're not, you'll catch me on the replay. And if you're coming in on the replay, just put in a little hashtag replay and ask your questions. Just treat this as if you're live, as if you're here with us, it's lunchtime, and I will answer whatever questions you have. So you've got your shaker square paneling, you've got your tongue and groove paneling. You can have your paneling up to picture rail height, which is, if you know, in an old period house, there would have been a rail below the coving going around the room, and traditionally that was where pictures were hung from, because they were hung on quite long strings, and the little hook was clipped into the picture rail. And as a useless piece of information, which is a good idea really, because it meant if you were moving your pictures around that you didn't have to put any holes in the walls. So there was merit in their Victorian or Georgian madness. You can also panel a full wall. I've often done this. It can be absolutely stunning. And if you do that, you can actually go bold with your color as well. You know, you could go navy, you could go aubergine, you could go charcoal, you could go any color that you wanted. It works particularly well in a home office. I've done this in a home office in Cork. It works particularly well as a feature wall in a bedroom, and it can work particularly well as a feature wall in your living room or dining room as well. And rooms that you would actually consider putting paneling into would be, of course, hall, stairs and landing. Yes, in your living room. Yes, definitely in your dining room. And one lovely thing about, say if it's in your dining room and you've got your paneling, that paneling lends itself to either painting the wall above it, in which case you can hang lots of art which look really, really well with the simple paneling, or you can have a gorgeous, glorious wallpaper above it too. Whatever you fancy, whatever you like. Like I mentioned, you can have a feature wall in your bedroom, you can have a feature wall in a home office or a living room. You can have a landing wall as a feature wall. And this is where you don't have paneling, 36-inch high paneling downstairs and coming up the stairs, but you want to have this feature wall that you can see from downstairs, so you could panel that out in box paneling or whatever, and it looks amazing. And another thing that you can do, say if you've got maybe you've got a dormer, or maybe you've got some storage behind that wall, you can create, and you can do this anywhere that you've paneled, if you've got space behind it, you can create a secret door that's only visible, and you only know it's there, and you pop it. You've got a soft close, pop open, pop close mechanism on it, and it looks like a wall of paneling, but you've actually got your secret cupboard, your secret door or hidden door incorporated into it. Paneling works really, really well in a bathroom, particularly a more traditional classical bathroom, you know, with a lovely freestanding bath or a cast iron clawfoot bath. Looks amazing. I have often used it in downstairs loos, where you can go beautifully dramatic. You could go crazy with your color in the paneling, and you could have the most fantastic, gorgeous wallpaper above it, or you could have a gallery wall of art above it. It's also very practical. If you've got small children, in our old house in Dublin, we had like a back hall that brought you into our utility room and our downstairs loo and into the garage as well. And we panelled it. I actually panelled the downstairs loo too. And when they were doing that, I got them to panel everything. And you know what? The boys would come in from outside with their little muddy hands, but because their hands were at that level lower than the top of the Tayto, it was so easy to wash off, because your panelling is going to be painted in an eggshell or a satin wood, so it's going to be really, really easy to keep clean. So paneling is a great idea for a mudroom. I would often create benches as well within your mudroom or your clean utility area, where you've got a seat for the kids where they can actually hang. You've got paneling behind them where they sit. You've got a seat formed. You've got baskets underneath for the things. You've got to have pegs for them to hang their coats on the paneling, and that works really, really well. And it just, quite inexpensively, it will elevate your mudroom, bootroom to something that's actually gorgeous. And if you've got young kids or teenagers, that mudroom and your utility room is going to get a huge amount of use. So invest in it and have it somewhere that's lovely to be, and that'll encourage you to keep it nice and tidy as well. Have any of you put paneling anywhere unusual, or have you had unusual applications for your paneling? Now, one thing, if you have an old house, if you've inherited an old house or bought an old house and the walls aren't great, then obviously paneling is a fantastic way to disguise those walls. Now, I forgot actually, and then there's another type of paneling too, where you can have bespoke timber paneling made in an oak or whatever. Oak is normally what I would have used, or some of the darker timbers. It is expensive to do. It is certainly a specialist company operation. It can look amazing. I did a gorgeous home office for a guy who had just retired, and he had his big partner's desk and this really plush, opulent paneling, and we had a gorgeous wallpaper above it. A tartan carpet on the floor. It was lovely, absolutely lovely, but it is expensive. But there's another way that you can get the look of paneling. You've been very quiet with questions. Maybe you're eating your lunch at the same time. Another way that you can get the look of paneling quite easily, and hotels do this a lot, and that's where in your room you've already got your skirting. So what you do is you get a joiner to create the illusion of paneling with beading, and that goes onto the wall, and then you have your dado level above that, and I hope that makes sense. But the trick to do this and to marry the whole three together, so you've got your existing skirting, you've now got a dado rail of 36 inches off the floor, and your carpenter or joiner is going to figure out how much of the paneling can fit into the space that you've got. There's a mathematical equation for doing it. And then you get the painter to paint the skirting, the wall, the beading, and the dado all in an eggshell or satin wood. And then that makes it look as if it's timber, because it's painted in a different finish to the rest of the walls. And it does actually work. And it is quite an inexpensive way of getting the look that you want. One place that I'm nervous about, and I would certainly measure the space very, very carefully, I'm always nervous about putting paneling in a narrow hallway. If you've got quite narrow hallways and you're putting in boxy paneling, then obviously you're reducing the size of that space, which is small to start off with, so that's not a good thing. But oftentimes, having the faux paneling, the one I've just described, where you use the beading to create the illusion of the paneling, you're going to have a skirting on those walls anyway, so it's not going to come out. It's actually going to be less proud than the skirting, so you will get away with it. So there's a way that you can have paneling, even if somebody says you don't have the width there, and you mightn't have the width for traditional paneling, but you will have the width for this type of paneling. So any questions at all? Okay, well, we'll talk colors. I like to keep my paneling light. If it's below dado level paneling with a deeper color above it, or wallpaper for impact. And some of the colors, I meant to take my paint charts with me, but that doesn't matter because they're in my head anyway. The little green shirting is a beautiful white color. I think it came from the color of men's shirts in olden days. They weren't quite, it wasn't like Dulux Brilliant White, but a lovely soft clean white. Milk Teeth by Color Trend is another good one. There's so many gorgeous colors, and in fact, if you pick up a Fire and Ball paint chart, the colors that I would historically use for kitchen colors, I would most definitely use in paneling, things like Ammonite. There's so many beautiful colors, absolutely stunning, beautiful, beautiful colors, and they would all lend themselves beautifully to the paneling. Now, don't be afraid to go bold. Maybe in your playroom you want to do something lovely and have a feature wall in your kids' playroom or study. Go with a deep color there. Absolutely, because the deep color will actually shadow in all the moldings, and it will look fantastic. And in a younger person's space, having this simple square paneling is a dream and looks gorgeous, and it's so effective. And again, if you remember from the day when we discussed how to pick your paint color, if you start with your cushion or your curtain and take your color scheming from what you already have, you know. So for me, I could go with, there's a gorgeous marine blue in this cushion here, and I know the Color Trend have a color very similar to that, or you could go with something like Muscle, you know, or one of those deep blues, or there's loads of gorgeous aubergines or greens, or, you know, I've even done orange paneling in a study once, and it was absolutely fantastic because I wanted it to be a high energy space. So you're only limited by your imagination. But definitely. So start looking at, I suppose, Pinterest. If you're a Pinterest girl, I'm not really. Instagram, I'm sure, is full of lots and lots of real life examples of different types of paneling, different colors, different applications, you know. The paneling is, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. And it's so forgiving. And I suppose originally the paneling to dado level was constructed at that level because that was a chair rail. And back then the chairs were actually pushed up against the wall and they were marking the wall. So instead, this dado rail held them back a little bit and stop your walls marking. But that is remember that measurement, 36 inches from the floor to the top of the paneling, is the exact height that your paneling should be. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. If it's too little, it's going to look ridiculous. If it's too tall, it's going to look ridiculous. I can remember once viewing a home where I think it was the carpenter who decided he was going to do the paneling, and units had gone into the alcoves and they were gorgeous. And in his misguided wisdom, what he did was he took the level from the top of the, these were like bookcases. So there was cupboards underneath with the top, and then there were shelves above it. And he took it from the top of the cupboards and carried it throughout the room. And it was so noticeably so high. So 36 inches is where you want to be. And same height going up the stairs and same height in your landing. And this is regardless of, to be honest, this is regardless of what height your ceilings are. I have a tiny downstairs, it's just a toilet and a sink. It's really small. Would paneling be suitable? It's long and narrow space. If it's narrow, I probably wouldn't go with paneling because in there I would go with impactful paneling. And if I don't want you to do is to make that space seem more narrow. But what you can do, there's a couple of things that you can do. If you put a striped wallpaper on the short wall, that actually visually opens things up as well. If you mirrored the entire wall above the sink, so say your sink is on this side here, mirror the entire wall there, that actually visually doubles the size. Like, honestly, I'm always like a child whenever I specify a huge big mirror. I can remember years ago when I did the RTE show house and the bathroom was awful. It really was. And there was such bad light coming into it, just a long skylight coming in, and the light was almost lost by the time it reached the bathroom. So what I did was I got a huge big mirror made for behind the bath. I covered the entire wall with mirror, and I did have a demist mat mirror put demist mat put in behind it, so that steaming was never a problem. And this is something, if you're ever putting a mirror into a bathroom within tiles, always get the electrician to wire up for a demist mat and have that wired to the light switch, so that when the light switch goes on, the demist mat comes on as well, and you'll never have steam. It's fantastic. But Chris, in a downstairs loo, I always feel that everybody's downstairs loo should be quite dramatic, quite fabulous. I want somebody to open the door and go, oh my goodness. So you can do that with wallpaper. You can do that with lots of art. I had a small, actually my downstairs loo in our old house was long and narrow as well, and it actually, there were 2 doors into it. I don't know why, but our architect had drawn in 2 doors. So there's a door coming in. Maybe he meant coats to hang there, which I would never do because it would have cluttered up the space. So I made the inner door into an arch, and I actually did a plaster arch, and it was painted in a navy blue and had a gorgeous curtain at the narrow end, but because nobody was expecting that, it was, and I had loads of art. Oh my goodness, I counted, but in this small space, I think I might have had about 20 pieces of art. Black and white floor was continued in from the hall, so everything was in a black frame, and it was stunning, absolutely beautiful. So just use a bit of imagination. Maybe wallpaper is the way to go. Another thing that you can do in a small loo is to embrace the darkness. Just live with it and make the darkness a feature, and go with some dark, moody wallpaper, you know, and have the lights on. But have a bit of fun in there. Have a bit of fun. Again, I remember with the Marilyn Monroe bathroom in the RTE show house, nobody was expecting that, and I picked up black and white Marilyn Monroe prints, big ones, in a small loo, quite inexpensively in Homebase or somewhere like that, or B&Q, and they were gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and a real wow the minute you walked in the door. Thanks, Anne. It sounds lovely. I'd love something like that. There's no window. Well, you know what? That's exactly what you do, Chris. Go and find the most opulent, most fabulous wallpaper that you can find, and embrace the darkness. But do have a mirror as well, because a mirror will actually bounce light around as well. I don't want it to be gloomy dark, but there's loads of patterned wallpapers that are just so much fun and have so much color, and you love color, and you know your color, and you're confident with color. So no bother to you to just pull that. So there's your homework now for the weekend, Chris. Have a look at that space and see what you could do to make it something absolutely incredibly gorgeous. And Deborah, hello, my darling. I need some advice on wallpaper help. Well, I will advise you with wallpaper, no problem, Deborah, but I think we'll be buying it online. Deborah's in Cork. Deborah is in Spain also, up the road in La Herradura, and you'll be buying online. But wallpaper is, actually, I've been looking at the outdoor loo here, and I want to get some fabulous black and white wallpaper, because in the summertime we do use that. It's the pool loo and we use it all the time, and it's quite functional at the moment. So I just want to have a bit of fun out there. And you know what? Life is for living, and we have to put fun and energy into our lives. I've told you 100 times that the most precious thing that we have is our energy. So anything that we do to improve our energy is worth investing in. And your home, like I've written so much and I've been interviewed so much on radio and TV about how your home impacts your mental health, how your home has a capacity to make you calm, make you happy, you know, improve your energy, make you feel content. And over the next couple of weeks, I will be, you know, because I'm going to continue these videos 3 days a week. And I'm actually, for my sins, I'm thinking of introducing a tiny little daily tip of the day every morning. I'm going to start on Monday. And we'll see how that goes. I'll try it for 365 days and see how we go. Just a little nugget to inspire you from an interior design and homes perspective first thing in the morning. No, that's Deborah's question again. Okay, so keep your questions coming in, and listen, any of you who love your home, you know, or maybe you don't love your home currently. Maybe you're fed up looking around the walls and thinking, oh goodness, this has been like this for so long and I'm sick of it, but I always make a mess of it every time I do it, and it's easier to just leave it. Well, it's not. It is not. It is so easy once you know what you're doing. And It's not hard. Interior design is not hard when you know how. And this is my life's mission. This is what I am dedicating my time, my efforts, my energies to teach you how to have the very best, most beautiful home, whatever that means to you. Because when we bought our old house in Dublin, and you're sick hearing me telling this story, but we literally had no money. We bought this wreck of a house on a gorgeous road that thankfully had a beautiful garden, but the house was a wreck and we had no money to do anything with it. And I actually wanted to, we couldn't afford to hire an interior designer anyway, but to be truthful, I think I probably did want to do the work myself or give it a go. But I didn't know where to start and I hadn't a clue. And I had to teach myself. There was no course that I could do that wasn't a professional interior design course. I went on to do that eventually, but at that time in my life, I had 3 small boys, very limited funds. That was not what I needed, but I did need the help. And now I've got that help for you, and it is my Sharing the Secrets Masterclass. It is so easy to follow. It is with you forever and ever and ever because you have lifetime access to it. And the beauty of it is it's only going to cost you €49 currently at the moment. It used to be €297, and the girls will tell you that it was an absolute bargain at that because the amount of money it saved them. They did not make wrong choices anymore. They knew what they were buying. They really knew what their style was, and it just helped them understand the whole process, because over the years I have developed a process. Of course I have. Whether I'm designing tiny little pods like I did in Galway or in Creasla, or a 5,000 square foot house, my process is the same. And when I share the secrets in that course, that's what I share with you, and it works. So it's a proven system. It's simple, it's easy, and I promise you, I forgot to pop the link here on Wednesday. I will pop it as soon as I'm finished. I will pop it here because I would urge you to join up over the weekend. A gift to you. Let this be an early Valentine's gift to you, or a St. Bridget's gift to you, a bank holiday weekend gift to you. And I've also got a special for anybody who joins in the next week. I have got a very special workshop coming up for those of you who have already joined and those who will join in the next week. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a designated standalone workshop just for you to help you get started. And there'll be a live Q&A where I will answer your individual questions. So Chris, you make note of that. So for anybody who's already on board, this is an extra layer of wonderfulness that I'm offering you. So it doesn't get much better than that, but I promise you I will put the link here because I did forget the last time I went off to do something else. And you know, I get so easily distracted that I just continued on doing something else and then did something else and something else. So there you go. So listen, in a nutshell, that's all about paneling. I would if you're considering it, I would say go for it. It will definitely, definitely improve your home. And it will improve the value of your home. I had a lovely client who I actually went to for a once-off consultation. Yeah, it's a real bargain. I know it is, Chris. And look at, and people thought there was something wrong with it because it was so cheap. No, I just decided on a whim, as I do before Christmas, that I want as many people as can have access to affordable interior design advice that's going to keep them on the straight and narrow and develop this passion and this love of interiors. Like lots of you love interiors, but you don't have the confidence. Well, this course is going to give you the knowledge and the confidence, because one begets the other. But I had a gorgeous client, and she was putting her house in the market, so she wanted advice on staging. And she asked me about paneling her hall, stairs and landing. And it was a 3-bed semi-D. It was, it wasn't a large house. The house they built was very large, but this one was not. This was a starter home. And her husband was doing the paneling. He was very handy. And they did the faux paneling because the skirting was already there. So he applied the dado and the paneling. Well, you should have seen that when it was finished. It was absolutely stunning. And the house sold just like that. And I'm quite sure that when somebody walked into that house and saw this gorgeous paneling, they thought, oh, I love that. Because apparently people viewing a home will have made their decision about whether they're going to buy the house after they leave the kitchen before they go upstairs. So let me tell you, your hall is really important. I believe your hall is very important anyway. It is, as Maura Mackey, my friend, says, it's the first hello and the last goodbye. It sets an impression for the rest of your home. It's welcoming or not welcoming. It sets a tone and the style of the rest of your house. So really, really important. So there you go. So listen, for those of you lucky enough to have a gorgeous bank holiday weekend, enjoy every bit of it. And for us in Spain, we're going to enjoy the weather. I think tomorrow is going to be a sensational day. So Deborah, you enjoy that too. Get loads and loads of vitamin D. I actually had to pull the drapes because the light is just flying in on top of me. It's very, very bright. I hope it's not too bright for you. So there you go, paneling. If you're thinking about doing it, do it. And if you have any questions or if there's anything that I forgot to mention, just put a question there in the link. And also for those of you who are asking, who want to get stuck into decluttering, because I started the Reset 2024 3 weeks ago. Next Monday is going to be week 4. The girls are flying through it. They cannot believe how easy it's been. They've actually done it. Now, one fractured her leg in 3 places, so that has stopped her, but she was doing great up until that. It's just been miraculous. So I will have another one. So we're finishing up in 2 more sessions, and then I'm going to start another one. So I know some of you have got your name on the wait list already. If anybody is thinking about doing a declutter, and before you even start thinking about the interior design of your house, I would urge you to have a good purge out first, a good declutter. You know, spring is in the air. Trees are budding here. Cherry blossoms here are beginning to bud. I wish they'd last forever because they're so beautiful, but I love to see that. It makes me so happy. So at this time of year, it's a lovely time to do clearing and welcome in, you know, spring and all that's wonderful and fresh about spring. And, you know, I'd love you if you're thinking of decorating a room in your house or taking on a project, that you do the decluttering first and then have this beautiful, fresh, uncluttered, unfettered room to enjoy. So anybody wants information, just put a reset into the comments here and I will get back to you on that, because it's small classes, online, very powerful, fantastic. So there's 2 courses that I've got for you now, and either of them have the capacity to change a huge amount about your life. So if you want to know about the interior design course, pop me secrets or interior design here. And if you want to know about decluttering, just send me a reset and I'll get back to you. Looking back at my memories, it's just popped up randomly. And it's a gorgeous photograph of our beautiful Leonberger dog, Elsa, who's sadly no longer with us. She was such a treasured, beautiful member of our family. And the room that Elsa is in there, I actually designed around her. The whole scheme of the room was designed around Elsa. And actually, that's something I'm going to do. If you do have pets, I have a whole session that I do about interior designing your home for your pets, and to help with the shedding and the practicalities of having a pet. But anyway, that's for another day. Go and have the most fantastic weekend and do something lovely for yourself. I'll chat to you on Monday. Even though it's a bank holiday, I'll be here. Stay safe, stay fabulous, and let me catch that end button. Actually, I better turn off Instagram first if I'm there. No. Okay, my apologies. We did not go live into Instagram today, but the replay will go up right now. But first, I'm going to put in those links here.